But now what you should do is get your notebook, your pencil, and your ruler all ready to go to begin taking notes on lesson 2.3. And this lesson's on solving multi-step equations. Again, it's 3 parts. Today is part 1, and we'll do the next 2 parts over the next couple days. So open your notebook up to the first available blank page and get your Cornell note paper set up. This is lesson 2.3, and you're solving multi-step equations. Use the learning target here to write an essential question, and you can hit the pause button while you get this finished and hit it play when you're ready to go. So you should have come up with the essential question, how do you solve multi-step equations? That's pretty straightforward. Go ahead and write part 1 in the top of your notes, because you're going to take notes in the same section every day, but we're going to break it up into 3 parts. Now, you don't have to write this down, so put your pencils down and just watch. So far you've solved a one-step equation, and with a one-step equation it takes 1 step to solve it. And in a one-step equation you find the variable and you do the opposite of what's happening to the variable. In this case it's being added to 13 or plus 13, so you do the opposite, which is subtract 13. And what you do to one side of the equation you do to the other. Plus 13 and minus 13 cancel. You're left with x. 14 minus 13 is 1. So your answer is x equals 1. Again, this is review. You shouldn't be writing this down. You should just be watching to get yourself ready for today's lesson. And then we looked at two-step equations. And a two-step equation takes 2 steps to solve it. And you do it the same way. You find the variable term and circle it. You work through the order of operations in reverse. So you're looking for addition and subtraction. And you find that addition or subtraction right here. This is minus 3. And to get rid of minus 3, you do the opposite, which is add 3. And what you do to one side of the equation, you do to the other. Minus 3 and plus 3 cancel. You're left with 2x, or 2 times x, equals 15 plus 3 is 18. And then you work your way up the order of operations, looking for multiplication or division. 2x means 2 times x. So you undo multiplication or get rid of the multiplication by dividing by 2. And what you do to one side, you do to the other. 2 divided by 2 cancels. You're left with x. 18 divided by 2 is 9. And there's your answer. So we started with 1 step, moved on to 2-step, and today we're going to look at multi-step equations. So here's problem 1. Copy it down in your notes. If you need to hit the pause button so that you can have time to copy, someone come up and hit the pause button, but I'm going to move on. In a multi-step equation, it just means there's more than 2 steps. It's multi-steps. So in this problem, what makes it a multi-step problem is that you have some numbers on the left-hand side of the equation that you can add together before you start following through the order of operations. So what I'm going to do is just add the step add-like terms into the order of operations. These two numbers, 2 and 5, are both constants, so you can add them together. 2 plus 5 is 7. And now that you've added the like terms together, really what you have now is a 2-step problem from this point on. And you solve it just like you solve a 2-step problem. Find the variable term. This is plus 7, so you get rid of plus 7 by subtracting 7. What you do to one side, you do to the other side. Plus 7 and minus 7 cancel. You're left with 2n, or 2 times n. And 11 minus 7 is 4. So 2 times n equals 4. You get rid of the 2 times by dividing by 2. What you do to one side, you do to the other side. The 2's cancel. You are left with n. and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So there's not a whole lot different in the multi-step equation than the two-step equation, except you're adding one more step, and that was to add the like terms in the very beginning of the problem. So let's do another one. This is problem 1b. Again, you can take the time to write it down, and somebody can come up and hit the pause button on the movie. Okay, in this problem, you have like terms again, only they're not numbers, they're variables. And you're going to add the n and the 3n together. And remember, whenever you have a single letter all by itself, there's an implied 1 in front of that letter. So 3n plus 1n makes 4n plus 5 equals 17. And now you just have a two-step problem. And in this two-step problem, find the variable term and try to get that by itself by getting rid of what's happening to it. And what's happening to it is 5 is being added. So to get rid of plus 5, you subtract 5. What you do to one side, you do to the other side. Plus 5 and minus 5 cancel. You're left with 4n. 17 minus 5 is 12. And now your equation says 4n or 4 times n. So you get rid of the 4 times by dividing by 4. And what you do to one side, you do to the other side. The 4's cancel. You're left with n. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So once again, you have a multi-step equation. The only additional step is in the very first step where you're adding the like terms. And then you've narrowed it down to a two-step equation. And once you do the first step, now it's down to a one-step equation. And you complete the one-step equation to get your answer of n equals 3. Okay, last problem. This is problem 1c. And once again, you can copy this down if you want to pause the video while you copy it. This problem looks very similar to the other problem, problem 1b. The only difference is I've put the variables on the other side of the equation just to see if you're paying attention. And in this problem, the first step is to add like terms. These two terms both have an x in them, so 5x plus 6x makes 11x plus 5 equals 27. And now, once again, you've narrowed it from a multi-step down to a two-step equation. Find the variable. What's happening to the variable 11x is 5 is being added. So to get rid of plus 5, you subtract 5. What you do to one side, you do to the other side of the equation. Plus 5 and minus 5 cancel. You're left with 11x equals 27 minus 5 is 22. 11x means 11 times x. And to get rid of 11 times, you divide by 11. And what you do to one side, you do to the other side. Starting to sound like a broken record. So 11 divided by 11 cancels. You're left with x. 22 divided by 11 is 2, and your answer is 2 equals x, or x equals 2.